a medieval tapestry depicting lovers, set against a backdrop of intro music and the channel logo. The scene opens with a cinematic slow zoom into the tapestry, creating a sense of immersion. The combination of visual and auditory elements creates an engaging and informative introduction. Medieval dating advice encompassed bizarre and humorous practices. The following content explores unusual and antiquated dating customs from the medieval period. These historical practices offer a glimpse into the social norms and expectations surrounding relationships in medieval society. A nervous knight in a castle courtyard introduces the topic of medieval madness. The scene serves as an introduction to the exploration of unusual behaviors and beliefs during the medieval period. The focus shifts to understanding the historical context and potential explanations for perceived madness. Medieval love magic sometimes employed unconventional methods to influence affection. One such method involved the use of a woman's undergarments, believed to bind her affection to the user. The intent behind such practices was to exert control over the woman's feelings and ensure her loyalty. Undergarments are sometimes humorously depicted as components in fictional love magic. The use of such items is often portrayed as an absurd or ineffective approach to romance. This comedic scenario highlights the contrast between practical reality and magical fantasy. Troubadours composed dramatic poems. These poems often elevated the beloved to an angelic status. Some troubadours expressed extreme devotion, even offering to drink their beloved's bathwater. The phrase "thy bathwater is nectar" exemplifies the exaggerated expressions of love found in medieval poetry. Medieval poetry often employed hyperbole to convey intense emotions and idealized portrayals of love. Such extreme metaphors were used to elevate the beloved to an almost divine status. The use of hyperbolic language in medieval poetry reflects the cultural values and artistic conventions of the time. Historically, personal hygiene practices like bathing were sometimes viewed with suspicion. In certain eras, a rugged, earthy smell was considered a desirable trait, particularly associated with masculinity. The perception of what constitutes an attractive scent has evolved significantly over time. Historically, preferences for fragrances have varied. Muskier scents were once considered attractive. The use of dead fish as a fragrance illustrates a significant difference in historical beauty standards. Cultural norms and availability of resources influence the types of scents perceived as desirable. Medieval love potions sometimes contained unconventional ingredients. Ingredients included menstrual blood, pigeon hearts, and crushed toads. These ingredients were believed to have magical properties that could induce love. A cauldron labeled "Love Elixir" bubbles with bizarre ingredients. Love potions often contain unconventional ingredients. The ingredients visually represent the complex and sometimes bizarre nature of love. Historically, astrological consultations were sought to determine favorable planetary alignments. Astrologers assessed the positions of Venus and Mars to predict compatibility and auspicious timing. Favorable alignments of Venus and Mars were considered essential before significant romantic endeavors. Astrology played a significant role in influencing romantic decisions. The positions of celestial bodies, such as Saturn and Capricorn, were interpreted to predict romantic outcomes. Astrological interpretations were used to assess compatibility and potential challenges in relationships. Medieval courtship involved elaborate praise, often expressed through sonnets. These sonnets frequently celebrated a woman's skills, such as her embroidery and singing voice. Remarkably, even a woman's horse was a subject of elaborate praise in medieval courtship. A knight directs a serenade towards a horse, comically exaggerating the praise typically given during medieval courtship. This scene satirizes the excessive flattery and attention often associated with medieval courtship rituals. The knight's misplaced affection underscores the often superficial nature of courtly love. Direct flirting was considered impolite. Indirect methods were preferred. A go-between, such as a maid, servant, or noble friend, facilitated communication. Love letters and subtle signals were conveyed through the go-between. A physical note serves as a medium for simple, direct communication. The note contains a binary choice question. Do you like me? Check yes, no. This form of communication represents a basic, analog equivalent to modern digital messaging. In Renaissance Italy, an apple rubbed on one's armpit was considered a love token. The practice involved rubbing the apple in the armpit before gifting it to a desired person. It was believed that gifting an armpit-rubbed apple would cause the recipient to fall in love. The act of biting an apple after holding it in one's armpit is humorously depicted. This exaggerated reaction illustrates the potential, albeit unlikely, consequences of the armpit apple practice. The scene humorously highlights the absurdity of believing that holding an apple in the armpit before consumption could lead to such dramatic effects. Viking women valued warriors with experience, as evidenced by their battle scars and weaponry. Scars and weapons were considered attractive traits in Viking culture. In contrast, bathing and displays of sensitivity were not highly regarded. A Viking couple's romantic date involves holding hands while overlooking a burning village. The act of destruction and conquest is romanticized within Viking culture. The burning village symbolizes power, dominance, and the spoils of war. In the 1800s, the handkerchief drop served as a subtle form of flirtation. The accidental dropping of a lace handkerchief was a deliberate act of seduction. This subtle gesture allowed for initiating courtship in a socially acceptable manner. A dropped handkerchief can serve as a visual metaphor for competition and eagerness. Multiple individuals vying for a single object demonstrates high demand and perceived value. The act of tripping over oneself visually represents the intensity of the competition. Foot binding was a painful beauty standard practiced in ancient China. Small, bound feet were considered a sign of beauty and high social status. The practice involved tightly wrapping the feet of young girls to prevent natural growth. Foot binding is a disturbing practice. The practice of foot binding is not recommended. Foot binding severely restricts natural foot development. In the Byzantine era, individuals facing romantic challenges sometimes sought supernatural assistance. Love spells were inscribed on lead tablets, intended to influence the affections of a desired person. These inscribed lead tablets were then buried in graveyards as a ritualistic act. The act of burial was meant to invoke spirits, petitioning them to intervene in matters of the heart. This practice reflects a belief in the power of the deceased to influence the living in their emotional states. Graveyard love spells are represented by a skeletal hand emerging from a grave. The skeletal hand holds a heart-shaped note, symbolizing the theme of love. This imagery represents the use of graveyard love spells. Modern lessons are derived from analyzing 0 years of unusual dating advice. The analysis reveals evolving social norms and expectations surrounding courtship and relationships. These historical trends provide valuable perspectives on contemporary dating challenges and opportunities. Drinking bathwater is unhygienic and poses health risks due to potential contamination. Bathwater can contain bacteria, viruses, and chemicals from soaps, shampoos, and other personal care products. Ingesting contaminated bathwater may lead to gastrointestinal distress or other adverse health effects. Astrology can be a source of entertainment and amusement. Astrology should not be used to determine one's predetermined destiny. It is important to maintain a rational perspective when engaging with astrology. Focus compliments on a person's inherent qualities rather than external possessions. Complementing personality fosters genuine connection and strengthens relationships. Acknowledging inner traits like kindness, humor, or intelligence demonstrates deeper appreciation. Compliments about personality are more meaningful and memorable than those about material things. Toads should not be included as an ingredient in any recipe intended to evoke or enhance romance. The inclusion of toads in romantic recipes is contraindicated. Recipes for romance must exclude toads to ensure desired outcomes. The prompt focuses on the weirdest dating advice to stimulate engaging responses. Audience participation is solicited through a direct request for comments. The action of liking content signifies approval and appreciation from the viewer. Subscribing to a channel ensures viewers receive updates and new content from the creator. Ringing the notification bell alerts subscribers to newly uploaded videos. These actions collectively support content creators and foster community engagement. The scene introduces the Medieval Madness segment. The segment explores themes of medieval warfare and societal upheaval. The introduction sets the stage for examining historical events and cultural contexts. Wearing a woman's undergarments is sometimes believed to be a method of winning her love. This practice stems from the belief that physical closeness or association can transfer affection or desire. The perceived effect relies on psychological associations rather than any tangible or proven mechanism. The success of such actions is highly subjective and dependent on individual beliefs and cultural contexts. Troubadours dramatically expressed love. These expressions often involved exaggerated gestures of devotion. The troubadours' expressions of love were often highly stylized and symbolic. These dramatic displays served to elevate the concept of courtly love. Historically, a rugged, earthy smell was often preferred over the scent of cleanliness. This preference reflects societal values that prioritized labor and connection to the land. Earthy scents were associated with strength, resilience, and authenticity. Cleanliness, in contrast, was sometimes viewed with suspicion or seen as a sign of detachment from the natural world. Medieval love potions often contained ingredients believed to influence emotions and attraction. The effects of these potions were based on a combination of perceived symbolism and potential pharmacological properties. Common ingredients included herbs like vervain and rosemary, associated with love and memory respectively. Some potions incorporated ingredients with potential psychoactive effects, though their efficacy remains unproven. The preparation of love potions often involved ritualistic processes, enhancing the placebo effect and psychological impact. Astrology posits that celestial bodies influence human affairs and terrestrial events. In romantic astrology, planetary positions at birth are believed to shape an individual's compatibility with others. Astrological compatibility analysis often focuses on the Sun, Moon, and Venus signs to assess romantic potential. Certain astrological aspects, such as conjunctions and trines, are considered favorable for romantic harmony. Conversely, squares and oppositions may indicate potential challenges in romantic partnerships. During courtship, praising a woman's possessions can be an effective strategy. Acknowledging and complimenting valued items demonstrates attentiveness and appreciation. Praise directed at possessions indirectly reflects admiration for the owner's taste and judgment. Complimenting possessions can foster a positive connection and build rapport. Indirect flirting involves using a messenger to convey interest, rather than direct communication. The messenger acts as an intermediary, observing reactions and relaying information discreetly. This approach allows for gauging interest and minimizing potential rejection. Effective messengers are observant, discreet, and possess strong interpersonal skills. However, information can be misinterpreted or distorted through a third party. The armpit apple refers to a Renaissance Italian practice involving apples. Details of the armpit apple practice remain scarce and somewhat obscure in historical records. Historical context suggests the practice was related to fragrance or perceived health benefits. Vikings often viewed battle scars as marks of honor and courage, signifying a warrior's experience and resilience. Extensive scarring indicated a warrior's frequent engagement in combat, enhancing their reputation and status within Viking society. Scars served as visual testaments to a warrior's ability to survive dangerous encounters, inspiring confidence and respect among comrades. The presence of scars could also be interpreted as a sign of Odin's favor, suggesting divine protection and a destiny intertwined with battle. In Victorian England, handkerchiefs were subtly employed as tools of flirtation and courtship. Specific handkerchief gestures conveyed coded messages of interest or affection. Dropping a handkerchief intentionally signaled a desire for interaction or assistance. The quality and design of the handkerchief reflected social status and personal taste. Handkerchief color and embellishments further enhanced the unspoken language of courtship. Footbinding was a disturbing beauty standard practiced in China, primarily affecting women. The practice involved tightly binding the feet of young girls to prevent natural growth, resulting in extremely small feet. Small feet, known as lotus feet, were considered beautiful and a sign of high social status. Footbinding severely limited mobility and caused lifelong pain and disability. The practice was eventually outlawed in the early 20th century, but its legacy continues to impact women's health and well-being. Byzantine graveyard love spells involve seeking spiritual intervention to influence romantic relationships. These spells often targeted specific individuals, aiming to incite love or attraction through supernatural means. The rituals involved prayers, incantations, and the use of consecrated objects to amplify the spell's potency. Graveyards were chosen as locations to leverage the perceived power of the deceased and the spiritual realm. Historical dating advice offers insights into societal norms and expectations of past eras. Analyzing historical dating advice reveals evolving gender roles and relationship dynamics. Some historical dating strategies remain relevant, emphasizing respect, communication, and genuine connection. Outdated historical advice often reflects discriminatory practices and reinforces harmful stereotypes. Contextualizing historical dating advice within its specific social and cultural framework is crucial for understanding its limitations. Concluding remarks offer a reflection on the absurdity of historical practices. Historical practices, when viewed through a modern lens, often reveal inherent contradictions and illogical foundations. A critical examination of the past encourages a deeper understanding of present-day norms and values. The video concludes with outro music.